Well, let's go ahead and just start at the beginning. I'd love to hear, what was your younger years like in the church, and where it kind of started.
All right. Well, I was actually raised by a mom that was a member of the church and a dad that was not. And my mom, for all of us kids, had us going to church. And my dad wasn't a member, but she was a very strong member. So we stayed pretty close to the church. And I mean, she was the rock as far as spirituality came. And when I was little, I was I don't know if I was the black sheep right from the start, but I stole my dad's beer and I smoked his cigarettes behind the tree. And I was kind of that one. My dad was like 12 of my older brothers, where's my beer? And me in first grade going, and they're like, which one of you boys stole it? Anyways, so it was this little first grader.
Oh my
So
God.
I've had quite a go, but that's not how my life, I mean, that was just a small time, and really, I was raised so well, it was crazy. I was raised so good. My dad actually passed away when I was 9. And so my mom remarried, and we lived in Idaho Falls, and then we moved to Rigby. So I was 9 years old in Rigby and going to school there. Even at home, I got baptized by one of our neighbors, and I, even at the time, clear back then, I thought, you know what? There's something different about me. And I just had this attraction to my friends, and I literally was a gay boy that didn't want to be gay or know anything about it. So I literally this was clear back in 1970 something. I dealt with, this is the worst thing ever. And, I thought something's wrong with me for so long, most of my life, growing up. So it was tough. It was really, really tough because all my family, we were into sports, and I love sports. And I just truly tried to follow my brother's footsteps, and they were football players and basketball players. And I was pretty fast, and I was pretty good in sports. But at the same time, I always had this connection, same-sex attraction. And it was horrible because I thought I was such a horrible guy and horrible kid, and there was nobody to talk to. And so I went through a lot of just really self-doubt of what is going on in myself. And it just continued on till I was a sophomore in high school. And when I was a sophomore, I actually had an experience with the kid, which just sent me backward. And I was like, oh, I hate being gay. Being gay is the worst thing I can think of. There's something wrong with me. That is the worst. And, in our church at that time, there wasn't a lot of answers. This was truly back in the day when, we didn't know very much about it. And so I was right in that middle of, I truly have something that's not right. So I continued on, and I went through high school and played all the sports and tried to keep any gay thoughts out. And I went to seminary, but I got kicked out of seminary. It was something off, but I always wanted to go on a mission. So I was going to go. I was like, you know what? I go on a mission, this gay stuff's going to stop, because that's what they told me. I won't be gay anymore if I can just go, and I'll pray it away and it'll leave. I went on a mission, and it was funny. I went into the MTC. This is how much I knew. Go into the MTC, go to my first class, and they go, hey, why don't you turn to like First Nephi? So I'm flipping through the Bible, and everybody's waiting, and I'm, come on, Nephi. Sure enough, hey, Todd, Elder McKinley, you're in the wrong book. That's kind of how I started. So I get into the mission field, and I'm like, finally, I'm here. I'm going to change. My feelings will change because that's kind of what they told me, that's what's going to happen. So I had a wonderful trainer, and our first place that we went was actually to a fair. At this fair, we were proselyting, but we had a booth, and we were doing something with dirt and gold, and I'm looking around, and this kid comes up and looks at me, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? This dude is just so cute. And I'm like, this is horrible. I'm on my mission and this is happening to me. So thank goodness he lived in Long Beach and I lived in Selma, California. That was my first area. And I was like, I cannot stay out here. I can't stay out on this mission and not know that what I'm doing is true. So I said to my companion, I said, you know what? I've got to figure this out. I've got to figure out if the church is true. And he says, well, I want you to go back into that room, into the closet. I want you to start praying. So I said, okay, I will. And I'm back there, and I'm probably back there for an hour. And I'm just begging to receive an answer. Is the church true? Is Joseph Smith a prophet? And I'm just there for probably another half hour. And all of a sudden, it was almost like a light, this warm, unbelievable, like buttery light that hit my heart. And it was like, it wasn't only was it true, it was extra true. It was the church is true. So now I have got what I wanted. I was able to finish out my mission. Very good. In fact, I became an assistant to the president. Loved my mission. It was the best thing ever because I knew the church was true. I didn't have these gay feelings and stuff out there. And if I did, I just pushed them behind. It's like, you know what? It's all right. And it just moves on. So I get home. Things are great. I actually get a calling to where I'm teaching in primary. Things are awesome. And of course, you quit reading and you quit praying and you quit doing those things. And so you start looking around and you start, some of those stupid feelings are coming back. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm trying to date, and I'm like, these are the cutest girls because I'm not giving them the time of day except for a few minutes, and they're all over the idea. And I'm like, man, I can't hardly wait to get out of this date. And it's just like, why again? I don't want to be gay. So I was like, well, I've just got to work through this. And so I would do things like I was a coach in high school football. I was a JV coach, a junior high coach, coached my little brother. I actually became a cop. And so I thought, you know what, all these manly, whatever things that were happening was going to help me to overcome this. And I'm dating these girls and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, man, but this is not working. I'm not feeling right about it. So of course, things happen to where I start like looking at guys and I'm just hating it. And I just don't really know what to do. But I graduate from Rick's College. I go to ISU. And for whatever reason, of course, I meet another man. And that was the start of me coming out. And so I actually moved from Idaho Falls to the ZCMI in Salt Lake City. And now I'm a full-fledged gay man that has been going on some weekly trips and trying to go to different places. And and find gay people and trying to live that, see what that lifestyle is about. And I ended up, of course, moving there, and I started to drink and do the things that most gay people do. And so I drank and I partied and I was having sexual relations and going to bars and really just enjoying what I knew to be the gay lifestyle. Finally, like, oh, I'm so gay. And so I continued on and on. And of course, it always catches up to you, the drinking and the partying and to where you start needing it and you become addicted. And I was actually in the hospital twice with acute pancreatitis because of drinking. I was doing, I don't know how much coke a day, but I became just a true piece of work. And got me a boyfriend, thought that might help calm that down. He cheated on me and I cheated on him. And that's kind of the gay lifestyle at that time. I think it's probably kind of that way even now. And I thought, you know what, I'm done with this life, just done. And so I went and found a secluded place, and I stuck a piece of a hose from the back into the front, closed up the window, and threw some cocaine out the window, and thought, you know what, this is the end. I'm done. Now my time has come. I just want to just leave, go home. And all I did is I woke up and I had black in my nose and in my ears and in my every part of my body was just black. And I'm like, oh my heavens, I can't even kill myself. So I'm now sicker than a dog, and I'm like, this is just horrible. And I'm still here. And so I kind of pick up my life again and continually do the same things. And I ended up actually buying, not buying, I actually was a manager of our first bar. And then I ended up buying or being involved in 2 more bars. So now I was in the bar business, which is probably the worst thing that a alcoholic and someone like me could do. But of course I did it, and did that probably for the next, 10 years. And it was amazing to me. I always thought, I would be dead. And I had 3 roommates that literally killed themselves. And it just was a common thing to do back then. And we just didn't know how to handle our problems. And I had this suicide pact with one of my best friends. And he committed suicide. And I was like, no, it's not time for me. I'm not going to do it yet. And so I was like, oh my, this is just a horrible, horrible thing. And my life became to the point of, I was literally living week to week, to where it's like, it doesn't really matter what I do this week, because next week I'm going to be dead. And so I lived my way to, you know what? And I tried some pills to overdose on, and that didn't work. I tried one more time with the exhaust, and whether I thought, you know what, my BMW must have some really good exhaust, because it sure doesn't kill me very good. So it just like this life was so bad that this was the time of where AIDS was so prevalent. And so you were always trying to watch yourself and watch others, and know that there was chances you might get something. And at one time, I actually got hepatitis, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to die of AIDS. And I thought, that's good. And so I waited for this sickness to come on, and it never came on. And I'm like, well, you know what, then I'm going to just, sleep with this guy that has AIDS, because then I'll be gone. Of course, that didn't work. I literally was living day to day, like, what is my next move? I just want to be out of this life. And about that time, that this was about 2008, and the financial crisis was going on, and the bars weren't doing too well, the country wasn't doing too well, and my mom called and said that that my stepfather had fell on her, and that he was going to go to assisted living, and she was in the hospital, and she wanted me to come home. And I thought, oh gosh, okay, what else? I might as well try and come home. And it took me a bit actually to get home, because I was so addicted to everything. I was so addicted to alcohol and drugs, and I just didn't know quite how that was going to work. And anyways, I make it home. Every weekend, I would come back to Salt Lake and party, because it was still in my body and my soul, and that was what I was going to do. In 2010, I drove, I think it was just after Christmas, and I decided I'd start drinking. I was going down to party, and I got a DUI. And I was a mess. And thank goodness I got pulled over. I can't remember lots about it, except that I was in jail. And because I was a cop, I remember I had another DUI that was earlier, and I was like, you know what? Just don't blow. Don't blow, and everything will be better. They might take your license, but I knew this because I was a cop. Well, I didn't know they changed the law. So they changed the law, so they could actually get a court order and take your blood. So I'm in jail, and all the jailers are coming up and going, you know what? We're going to come and take your blood. We got a court order. I said, no, you're not. I had a fight with them. And anyways, they got away with my blood. So I'm like, oh no, I'm now really screwed. It's done. It's a done deal. I don't even know what's going to happen now, because I'd have to have a breathalyzer in my car. I knew I'd have to have jail time. I knew that there would be a lot of things that would happen. It wasn't, I'd been charged with DUIs before. So it didn't look too good for me. And so I went home, and I thought, you know what? I really am going to kill myself this time, and I'm going to use a gun. So I go into my stepfather's guns, pulled out a gun, got really drunk, said, you know what, this is done. I'm over this life. And I went outside, put a bullet in the chamber, and I shot it against the fence just to make sure it worked. And ejected the bullet, put another bullet in, put it straight to my head, and shot. And it didn't go off. Are you kidding me? So I ejected this bullet, like, did I have one in, and it flies out. I put another bullet in, and I shoot against the fence again, and it goes off. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And I just sat and I bawled, and I cried, and I'm like, why do I have to go through this? I hate this being gay. I hate everything about the church. My mom says, hey, maybe you ought to go to church. And I said, you know what? You ever ask me to go to church again, and I will never go to church. I promise you. And she never did again. But what a wonderful mother. She was the most unbelievable, loving mom. And I have the most unbelievable, loving family that has been by my side as a gay person and as an addict. So I was pretty lucky that I had my mom, and she took a bunch of my crap. And so my next fail of suicide didn't work. And I was like, well, I went back to work, and life was pretty bad, and I still had these addictions. And I said, my buddy Brian that I told you about earlier says, hey, why don't you come to an addiction recovery program and you can just tell people how you got over drinking. Well, he didn't realize that I was still drinking, but I said, oh, okay, I'll come, and I'll lie to him and tell him how good I've been and this and that. And so I went, and this addiction recovery program was the first time I'd actually felt the Spirit again in some way, shape, or form. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And left, and I would go periodically. I still, of course, had addictions to where I was drinking and watching porn, and the one thing that I didn't do is do drugs or go back to Salt Lake City. So I was getting farther ahead, and I was then asked, he says, hey, Todd, can you, or do you want to come? And my son has he's getting off his mission, and they're having his welcome home talk. And I said, I haven't been to church in 15 years. I said, but you know what, I'll show up. So I go to this welcome home, and I was late, of course, and I sit on the back of the chapel. Actually, it was in the gym. There was that many people, but I was on the back row. And he started to talk, and all these feelings of the mission and the Spirit. The Spirit came back and just overwhelmed me. And I'm sitting and I'm bawling on the back row. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And I am just wiping tears. And this is nuts that I am so emotional over this. And it hit me so hard. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the Spirit again. The Lord loves me. He's giving me something. He saved me. He's done these things for me. And now I felt that same Spirit that I had in the mission field. So it was the start. It was the start of something good. And from that time, I had then gone back in April. I was supposed to go see the judge about my DUI. So I end up on my birthday, April 19th, go in, and my lawyer is there that used to be my lawyer when I was in the bar business. He goes, well, let's take a look at this DVD and just see how this DUI worked out for you. See what you did. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be awful. So we're putting in this DVD so we can watch it. And it's not working. And I'm like, we'll fix it. I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed. I know this is going to be bad. So he kept working on it and working on it. He goes, okay, I'm going to tell the prosecutor it doesn't work, but I'm going to go get your blood alcohol limit, and we're going to just see where this goes. So he leaves, and he goes to the prosecutor and he goes, we need to get the blood alcohol limit for Todd and decide what we're going to do. And the prosecutor says, we don't have it. We lost it. Now we can reschedule, or you guys can take something less DUI, to where you just have to pay a fine, do some community service, and go to an alcohol class.
Wow.
And my lawyer was like, what? Yeah. He goes, I've never seen this. This is crazy, Todd. My mom had driven me to this court hearing. First thing she says, this is a miracle, Todd. I went, oh my gosh, I know. What a crazy. The Lord is looking out for me. He wants me to live. He wants me to be able to help others. And so this was the beginning of me trying to get sober. So I never went back to Salt Lake after that point, and so that took out the idea of drugs, and I got over the drinking part through some, just between my mom and me, and I never had a smoking problem, so that wasn't a big deal. And I probably was working on this now for probably a year and a half, and I started to recognize and see some things about pioneers. I'm like, oh, the pioneer stories and blah blah blah. So I actually picked up this book at Deseret Book, The Undaunted by Gerald Lund. And it was a book that is just amazing. It was a story of a young boy that became a member of the church. He started in London, but it was a pioneer type story to where these people sacrificed, died, and just, you've seen 17 miracles, and I just bawled my eyes out, just like, oh my heaven, that had been nothing through nothing comparative to these people that were our pioneers, that actually believe so strongly in the church they give their lives and freeze. And I'm like going, what? That is just crazy. And my testimony just continued to grow. So kept doing this same thing, and I started to go to church, and it was really odd because people treated me really weird, but I didn't care because I knew the church was true, or I wanted it to be exactly how it was. And so I just kept going, and I was at work, and my stake president lives down the street, comes in. I go, hey, I want to talk to you sometime if you have a chance, maybe. Yeah, please come in. That was 1 year. A year later, comes back in. Hey, stake president, I need to talk to you sometime. Oh yeah. Well, he comes back the next month. Hey, stake, and he put his arm around my neck and he goes, you come in this Tuesday because they're going to release me by the end of this year. So you get in here. And that's when things started to change. And I was able to understand the atonement and to have this opportunity to express myself. And I said, well, just so you know, stake president, I'm gay. And he goes, so what? So what? And what do you mean, so what? He says, you know, you can be gay. You can be gay. You can be in the church. You can get a temple recommend. You can have a calling. Are you wearing your garments? I said, no, get some garments. Well, oh my goodness. I said, oh, I can be gay and I can be in the church. Oh, this is like an answer to a prayer that I just didn't plan on it, because I wanted, if I was gay, then blah, 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 blah. So the gay part was never even really an issue. It was, you know what, let's talk about your addictions and let's get over those. Let's talk about your drinking and your drugs and your sex that you had and blah, blah, blah. And he says, I pretty much got the picture. And so I just kept watching, or kept going to him for every week for a while, sometimes every 2 weeks. And I'm not sure how long, but finally he says, you know what, it's time for you to have a counsel. It's time to have an obedience counsel. He says, you're going to probably be excommunicated or you're going to be disfellowshipped. I don't know exactly, but we'll see. I said, hey, I'm all good. I don't care if I'm disfellowshipped or excommunicated. I'm ready. So go into this obedience council. Tell them my story, the love that these brethren had, how they treated this sinner, how they treated this gay man, was probably the most spiritual experience I've had. up to, I mean, I've had some big ones. These people love me. This is the atonement. This is how it works. The Lord is going to bless me, and he's blessed me, and the Lord is continually blessing me, and the Lord is forgiving me. To the stake president, I said, how can you just forgive someone like me for these things that I've done? And he says, Todd, you've got to understand the atonement. He says, you've got to start forgiving yourself. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to understand that you can't do it yourself. These addictions, you have to understand that you can't pray away things. You can't say, hey, please take this addiction away. You've got to work at it. The Lord wants you to do your part. The Lord wants you to put forth effort. Strive, Todd. Trust in the Lord, Todd. That is what the Lord wants you to do. He wants everyone to do. He says, this is what we're here for, is to learn and to grow and to continually strive and to move forward. He says, so today I'm going to give you a temple recommend, and you're going to be in the addiction recovery program.
Oh my
So I
God.
started right off in the addiction recovery program, and that was now 8 years ago, and I'm still doing it.
Oh my gosh. I just got the chills. That is so cool. I was a facilitator in the addiction recovery program for a while, and it's so amazing.
Yeah.
So
It's well, you know, everything. It is the Lord knew that we would be facing these times. The Lord knew that pornography for these kids. I'm actually up to BYUI now every Sunday, and it's just crazy cool. But just the atonement. The atonement is there for every sinner. The atonement is there for a gay man. The atonement is there for addictions. The atonement is there for everyone to come and partake of, and to take the Lord's hand and to become part of what he is. And now as a gay man, I don't have I'm definitely gay, but I don't have this overwhelming feeling for the last 10 years of I have to do something. I need someone. Yes, there's a lot to be done still that we have got to figure out, and we are figuring it out, and people are getting better. But the atonement is the key. It's the greatest thing that we could ever use, and we're, as people in the church, are not using it right, and giving ourselves a break, and knowing that if we fail, we need to repent and move on and just continue and let the Lord bless us.
So tell me I think that one of the biggest reasons why people struggle with either staying in the church or coming back to the church is around the LGBT community issues, and how I was just barely talking to my brother about this a couple weeks ago, and he's just like, I just don't understand why, what's the plan? And it's a very confusing place to be. And so what advice would you have for somebody that is gay and they're in the church and maybe they want to leave because they don't feel like there's a place for them, or people that aren't gay, but they still struggle with, the church, and, what advice would you have?
Well, the same-sex attraction, of course, the church has come so far as it tries to figure out what to do. I know this is what I do know, and maybe this should be another podcast, but this is what I know as a gay man, and as a man that had bars for years and watched people come and go, and my best friends are gay and married, and what their lives are like. And the gay lifestyle is so horrible in the sense of drinking, drugs, what are you going to do tonight? I'm going to go to the bar. What are you going to do tonight? I'm going to drink tonight. What are you going to do tonight? There's nothing but drinking and just from my life, this is what it was. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're a member of the church or not a member of the church. The gay lifestyle is a lifestyle that is not positive. And if I had it to do over again, I would get married. I would literally get married because true happiness is family. And I met these people. I was set up with these people that were actually very pro-gay. He was a state president, and he says, you know, what's happening with, why would you stay in the church and blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you understand what it is to be gay and to what lives these have? The people that are happiest being gay are only in my circle. They have enough money so they can adopt, or they've been in a marriage to where they have children. I said, people that do not have children and don't have family, guess what? They are very sad, sad people and don't have the church. And he said, oh, yeah. And I said, do you have anybody that you know that's happy that's not got kids? And he goes, no, I don't. I said, this is what the gay lifestyle, we have been given something that is a challenge that we've got to work through. And who knows what that means exactly, except what it means is the Savior is there, whether no matter what you do, you don't fall away because of it. What you're falling away from, there's not something better. God is there still to save and love you and be there for you. Everyone's going to go on their own path. But my path, if I had it to do over, which is a whole nother book and a whole nother thing, is literally, you know, I would definitely try and have a family. And the difference between now and then is now we can be gay. I can be gay and go, you know what, I'm gay. Will you marry me? And she'll go, yeah, oh, absolutely. Comparative to, I'm not gay, but I am gay, and now I'm going to cheat on you. You know, that we used to be what it is. And I had a kid working for me, and I said, you know what, I'm going to tell you something. I'm gay, and I know that you are. And I said, let me give you some advice. I said, so I would actually find somebody, you know, most guys, their best friends are girls. There's a girl out there that would love to marry you. And sure enough, this past year, he got married and has a child and is gay. And it is the most wonderful thing that I've watched. And so it's so tough. You know, the biggest thing is the gospel, living the gospel, doing what's right, treating people right, quit judging. This brings happiness, helping people. You know, that's the bottom line to happiness. All this other stuff is not happy. Happiness is actually giving back and helping. And that's why I'm so blessed to be in the addiction recovery program. That's why I'm blessed. I'm actually blessed to be gay. So I can actually say the things that I'm saying now because of knowledge, because of knowing. And maybe sometimes somebody will listen to me and go, you know what, he's right. This life does suck. I really do need to find somebody to marry. So that's probably, a lot of people go, oh, who is that dude? What, you know, but I'm not talking to those dudes. I'm talking to those dudes that want to stay in the church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that everybody online has an opinion, and I'm sure that when we post this video on YouTube, there's going to be a lot of people that have a lot of opinions. But the thing that's really cool about this is that you are speaking from your own experience. And when somebody's sharing their own personal experience, it's like, this is your experience. How can you argue that experience? And you can't argue somebody's personal experience that they've had in their life. And so I think this message is so important, and people, they really truly need to hear it. And I don't know, thank you so much for being willing to share your story. It is so powerful and amazing. And I just think about, all those experiences you had where you tried to end your life and it didn't work, and all the lives that you're helping now, and how incredible it is that you survived and you're here and you're telling your story, and it's so amazing. And what a gift. And I just think, I was telling my mom this, that, because I was a heroin addict for a long time, and I think, that was a really dark, awful time, but now it's a gift. That experience is a gift because now I can share it with other people and give them hope. And it's the same with your experiences. It's like you've been through all this stuff, and, and God will work all things to the good of those who love him. And
Absolutely.
that is what he's done in your life. And I just, your story is so incredible. And I hope that everybody who needs to hear it will hear it.
Oh, I hope so. I just thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, because you know what? You're a game changer for all of us, to give us a place to actually talk, and just thank you for your kindness. Just thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
You know, as I go to my addiction recovery meetings, it's basically the same. Just keep striving, keep trying, don't quit. The Lord is waiting to bless you. The Lord is waiting for you to put your hand out so he can grab it and help you. And once we figure that out, then we can start trusting in the Lord and understand that he's always there for us, always, through all this bad. He can't wait to bless us, but we have to ask.
Mhm.
So
I
hopefully,
love that. Thank you so much.
all right. Thank you so much.